Welcome to Wayward Movie Recaps.
At the start of the story, we see a prison built on a lonely, deserted island. On this day, new prisoners were brought in. Among them was Edmond. When he met the warden, Edmond pleaded, "Sir, help me, I haven't done anything wrong. I was sent here on false charges." The warden calmly replied, "I know, if you had done something, you would have been sent to a regular jail. Only those against whom a conspiracy has been made are brought to this remote prison." Right after saying this, the warden beat Edmond badly and locked him inside a small prison cell with a wooden door and a tiny window. This door opened only once a year, when the warden came just to beat the prisoners without reason. Days turned into months, and Edmond grew increasingly disturbed by the endless solitude. On the wall, he scratched words asking God to give him justice. But as time passed and he realized he had no control over his fate, a deep sadness began to consume him.
After spending 12 years in that prison, he even lost his faith in God. He thought he would be locked there for the rest of his life. But then one day, suddenly, the floor of his cell started to rise. This strange event shocked Edmond. He felt like a ghost had appeared in front of him. After being scared for a while, Edmond saw a man coming out from under the ground. The man was Abbé Faria, a prisoner from the floor below. He had been digging a tunnel for the last 5 years. By a twist of fate, the tunnel opened up into Edmond's room, as if it were a sign from God. With Abbé's arrival, Edmond finally got someone to talk to, as he had been going mad from being locked alone for so long. After that, Abbé excitedly invited Edmond to his cell. Edmond felt very happy that he wouldn't have to spend his time scratching marks on the wall with stones anymore. When Edmond entered Abbé's room, he was surprised by what he saw. Abbé's cell was nothing like the others. It looked like a decent hotel. There were chairs for comfort, and countless books were lying on the shelves. Abbé promised Edmond that if he helped him dig the tunnel, he would teach him during their remaining time. Edmond didn't have anything else to do anyway, so he immediately agreed. Just as they were about to start digging, they heard the sound of a guard's footsteps. Trembling with fear, Edmond quickly ran back to his cell and prepared the garbage basket, because the guard was about to arrive on his floor. In this prison, the cell door opened only twice, once to collect the garbage and once to serve dinner. Besides that, the rest of the day was free, which gave them plenty of time to dig the tunnel without worrying about getting caught. After that, Abbé cut a small bunch of his hair. He struck a stone to create a spark, lit the hair, and then lit a candle. Then somehow they both entered the tunnel and continued digging forward. There was very little space below, so digging wasn't easy. Abbé estimated that if they kept working at this pace, it would take at least 3 more years to reach the outside world. One day, while resting, Edmond learned from one of Abbé's books that Abbé was once a very skilled swordsman. After that, Edmond became stubborn and said that if Abbé didn't teach him swordsmanship, he would stop digging the tunnel. Edmond now had only one goal in life, to take revenge on his enemies. After listening to him, Abbé agreed and got ready to teach Edmond the skill of fighting. Abbé began explaining that speed is a warrior's greatest strength. He thought of teaching Edmond a lesson using the water drops falling in the room. Standing by the edge of the dripping water, he passed his hand through so quickly that it didn't even get wet. He said, "The day your hands become this fast, you'll become a capable warrior." After that, Abbé went back to digging, and Edmond continued practicing. A few days later, Abbé broke the wooden planks from the door and made a fake sword. He then began teaching Edmond swordsmanship properly. When the sword training was over, Edmond would focus on studying. Now, his whole day was spent studying, digging, and practicing swordsmanship. After a few months, Edmond's swordsmanship improved a lot. Now Abbé started to notice that Edmond had become an even better swordsman than him. One evening, during a conversation, Edmond found out that Abbé once worked for a very wealthy family named Stadia. His master had earned a huge fortune, and now Napoleon had imprisoned Abbé to find out where the treasure was hidden. Hearing this, Edmond became very angry, because he too had once supported Napoleon. Both of them had been locked away because of betrayal. Day by day, their tunnel digging was bringing them closer to freedom. One day, they saw plant roots in the tunnel, which made Abbé realize they were very close to reaching the surface. Knowing this, both of them became very happy. But soon, something happened that turned their happiness into sorrow. The tunnel suddenly started shaking, and with a loud noise, many stones and soil fell on them, burying Abbé underneath. Panicked, Edmond quickly removed the stones and pulled Abbé out. It turned out they had been digging in the wrong direction. They must have made a mistake while digging the tunnel, as even a food box had fallen down from above. Abbé was badly injured when a heavy stone hit his chest. Because of the damage to his lungs, he could die at any moment. In his final moments, Abbé weakly told Edmond that there was a book under a stone in his room. something was hidden beneath that book too. Edmond found the same treasure map for which Abbé had been imprisoned. He was shocked to see it. Abbé made him promise to always use the treasure for good and to stay away from bad deeds as much as possible. Edmond promised, and Abbé died shortly after that. Edmond had tears in his eyes, feeling that he was alone once again. Just then, the guard came to deliver food. Edmond hid behind the wall. The guard called out, but there was no response. When he came inside to check and saw Abbé's dead body, he panicked and rushed to report it to his superiors. Edmond quickly sealed the tunnel's entrance and returned to his cell. After some time, the guard returned with some of his companions and placed Abbé's body in a body bag. Edmond was hiding in the tunnel, waiting for them to leave. As soon as the guards left, Edmond quietly entered the room. He looked at Abbé's corpse, and while staring at it, an idea came to his mind. He quickly swapped Abbé's body with himself. After some time, the warden arrived with his men to collect the body. Since the prison was on a deserted island, they decided it was best to throw the body into the sea. Meanwhile, a guard went to Edmond's cell with food, but when no one responded, even after knocking repeatedly, he became suspicious. He opened the door and went inside, but instead of Edmond, he found Abbé's body there. The guard then shouted and went to call the warden. The warden wanted to finish the task quickly, and that day strong winds were blowing. The sea waves were crashing against the rocks, making it hard to hear anything. While the warden was trying to listen to the guards, Edmond suddenly stole the warden's keys. The shock of it caused the warden to fall into the sea along with Edmond. As soon as he hit the water, Edmond quickly used the keys to free himself. When he swam to the surface, he looked back at the warden. Years of anger boiled inside him, and he brutally drowned the warden in the sea, killing him. After that, he kept swimming far out into the ocean without looking back. The next morning, when Edmond woke up, he was on an island. He didn't know how he had survived or reached there. Even he couldn't understand how he was still alive. But he wasn't free yet. A group of pirates was sitting nearby, calmly watching him. Edmond thought he was going to be killed, but the leader of the pirates, Luigi, gave him a chance. He said he would let Edmond live on one condition. Edmond would have to fight his traitor friend Jacob, whom they were going to bury alive anyway. If Jacob won, he could rejoin the pirate crew, and they would kill Edmond. If he won, he would be set free. Soon, the fight between the two began. Jacob was very skilled in swordsmanship, but Edmond's technique, learned from Abbé, was extremely powerful. Despite several attacks, Jacob couldn't even touch Edmond. As soon as he got an opportunity, Edmond struck quickly and knocked Jacob down. But instead of killing him, Edmond turned to Luigi and said, "Look, both of us can work for you. We are useful men. Why kill us for no reason? It's not easy to find good pirates." Seeing Edmond's skill and kindness, Luigi was pleased and spared both their lives. During a conversation on the ship, Edmond told the captain his whole story. After hearing it, the captain freed Edmond so he could fulfill his purpose of revenge. Jacob joined hands with Edmond. Since Edmond had saved his life, Jacob promised that he would always remain loyal to him. Edmond asked Jacob to arrange a boat. Edmond then quietly went to his old master's house late at night, but everything had changed. The old master didn't even recognize him. He found out that his father had died of grief after Edmond's imprisonment. Edmond was deeply shocked by this news, but the biggest blow came when he learned that his old friend Montague had framed him and had married his fiancée, Mercedes. The next day, Edmond and Jacob set off for the island where the treasure was marked on the map. They searched every inch of the island but couldn't find the treasure. Then Edmond thought there might be something under the water. He dived into an underground pond near the spot shown on the map. There, he discovered several old chests. As soon as he opened one of them, he saw glittering gold. Jacob jumped with joy and filled the boat with as much gold as they could carry. But to take all the treasure, they needed a big ship, and Edmond had no idea how to get one. More than happiness, he was now filled with the fire of revenge. He decided this wealth would be used for only one purpose: revenge. To start, Edmond bought a big luxurious house and presented himself as the new nobleman of France. He invited all the surrounding noblemen to a grand party in his magnificent mansion. Soon, his royal style and luxury made him famous. Everyone was talking about him, but in reality, Edmond was doing all this to catch the attention of his treacherous friend Montague. Montague did come to the party, but left without speaking to him. Meanwhile, Jacob informed Edmond that Montague had a son named Albert. So, Edmond, along with a beautiful woman and some of his robber friends, staged a fake kidnapping of Albert, just so Edmond could appear as his savior. The plan worked. Albert thought this nobleman had saved his life. Grateful, Albert invited Edmond to his upcoming birthday party and requested him to attend. Edmond pretended to hesitate, but finally agreed. At the party, Albert introduced his father Montague to Edmond. After 13 years, they stood face to face, but Montague didn't recognize him. Edmond's appearance had changed completely. However, when Mercedes saw him, she had a strange feeling. She couldn't recognize him at first, but when Edmond touched and twisted her hair in a special way, something only he used to do, she immediately realized who he was. It was Edmond's old habit. Edmond knew that Montague was desperate for money, so he lied to him, saying that he had found a huge treasure and a ship was bringing 100 kilograms of gold the next day. He also asked Magistrate Wilford to clear all legal hurdles so there would be no police problems. But Wilford was a corrupt magistrate who had full control over the local police. After hearing Edmond's words, he made a plan with Montague. They decided to steal Edmond's treasure before it reached him, and keep all the gold for themselves. Montague said he knew someone who could help them. In fact, these three men were the same people who had framed Edmond years ago and sent him to prison, and now, Edmond had deliberately brought them all together. After the party, Mercedes sneaked into Edmond's carriage. Crying, she told him that Montague had lied to her. He told her Edmond was hanged. Edmond feared this truth might ruin his entire plan for revenge. That's why he told Mercedes to leave for now. Then we see that Edmond's ship had been robbed, and it was done by Montague's man. This same man was also one of those responsible for sending Edmond to jail. Edmond burned with the desire for revenge. The man thought he had robbed the ship easily, but soon the guards arrived and captured him. He tried to escape, but Edmond showed up. The man tried to fight, but Edmond threw a noose around his neck. Before killing him, Edmond revealed his true identity, so the man would know exactly why he was dying, and for what crime. Now, Edmond's next target was Magistrate Wilford. Years ago, this same magistrate had framed Edmond in the matter of Napoleon's letter. Ironically, the magistrate's father had been a supporter of Napoleon, but in his thirst for power, Wilford had his own father killed and blamed Edmond for the crime, which led to his imprisonment. This time, Edmond cleverly made Wilford confess everything during a conversation. Wilford admitted it all, thinking Edmond had no proof. But what he didn't know was that the police were already in the room, listening to everything. They arrested Wilford on the spot. Meanwhile, Montague, now bankrupt, was preparing to run away, but Mercedes refused to go with him. She told him that Albert is not his son, but Edmond's. When Montague married Mercedes, she was already pregnant. That was the reason she agreed to marry him. Montague shouted in anger, but couldn't change anything. He rushed to the fort where he had hidden all the stolen treasure, but when he opened the chests, they were filled with sand. In the last chest, he found only a small chess piece, which he gave to Edmond. At that very moment, Edmond appeared. Montague now knew the truth. Enraged, he attacked Edmond with a sword, but Montague was no match for him. Edmond easily disarmed him and pinned him to the wall. Just as Edmond was about to deliver the final blow, Albert stepped in and said he wouldn't let his father die like this. Montague used the moment to secretly load bullets and gunpowder into a hidden gun. Then Mercedes came running and stopped Edmond. She told him the truth, that Albert was actually his son. Edmond was shocked. Just then, Montague aimed the gun at Edmond, but Jacob, acting fast, threw a knife with lightning speed. The bullet missed Edmond but hit Mercedes in the shoulder. Montague used the distraction to escape. Edmond chased him. Montague got on his horse and charged at him. Edmond's sword fell, and for a moment, Montague seemed to have the upper hand. But in the end, Edmond managed to knock Montague down and strike him fatally. Montague died on the spot. After his burning fire of revenge finally cooled down, Edmond, along with his wife and son, went back to the island where he had spent 13 years of his life. There, he remembered his mentor, Abbe Faria. In the end, he bought the island so that no one would have to suffer the pain he went through.
If you enjoyed unraveling this story, subscribe and turn on notifications for more deep dives just like it. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.